Welcome to Sanctuary, bringing you conversation and stories at the intersection of life and faith. This edition of Sanctuary is produced in cooperation with the Council of Religious Leaders of Metropolitan Chicago.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nisan Chavkin, and I'm the Executive Director of the Council of Religious Leaders of Metropolitan Chicago, and welcome to Sanctuary. Last March, our region was overwhelmed by COVID-19. Living with the pandemic this past year has reminded everyone of the essential role that faith institutions play in our communities. In addition to their own congregations, faith institutions address unmet needs and underserved populations in their communities, often in advance of or in place of other options. Then, as now, faith leaders and institutions respond in times of crisis based on their intimate knowledge of the communities they serve. In this episode of Sanctuary, we will learn about Pastors for PCOR, a unique program that trains people in faith-based communities to gather and share that knowledge with health researchers working in underserved communities of color. Centered here in Chicago and conducted in collaboration with Northwestern University and leading hospitals in our area, this program offers a powerful model for working with communities so they can identify their own needs and become partners in addressing them. Joining me today to discuss this exciting program are Bishop Simon Gordon, Senior Pastor of Triedstone Full Gospel Baptist Church, and Dr. Paris Davis, Executive Director of Pastors for PCOR and Executive Director for the Total Resource Community Development Organization. Now, because we are doing our part to protect each other and contain the pandemic, I will talk with each of our guests one at a time. First up, I have the privilege of talking with Bishop Gordon. Hello there, Bishop Gordon. How are you doing today?
Great, Nisan. How are you today? So glad and honored to be with you.
It is indeed my honor as well, and it's exciting to be able to talk about this remarkable program. So what is a PCOR anyway? What is Pastors for PCOR? Could you tell us just the nutshell? What is this program?
Well, pretty simply, Pastors for PCOR. PCOR is really attached to the PCORI, Patient-Centered Outcomes Research. And so Pastors for PCOR is a faith-based research engagement initiative that serves as a community liaison, always ready to partner with research institutions and public health networks. When you look at what we do, we look at creating community hubs and connecting in those hubs patients and stakeholders, researchers and networks to better serve underserved communities.
That's really very exciting. So it sounds the need, could you describe us what niche, what need are we answering when we create this hub? Absent this hub, what goes wrong?
Well, if I can give a little how the hub is made up, the hub is made up if you put Pastors for PCOR in the center. We would reach out specifically in a hub model that deals with academic research, deals with medical research, deals with government as well as community advocates. And then we train from various churches what we call RMAs, which is Research Ministry Advocates. And they take specific certification classes, institutional review board certification process to make sure it meets all the requirements of the universities, and they reach out to the community stakeholders who it affects. And so when we look at it, the goal is to serve at-risk families with wraparound services. I can't say it, I don't think any simpler than that. It's to serve at-risk families with wraparound services. That is prevention education, that is providing resource linkages, that is taking health surveys, and all by collaboration by using the faith community to do it. This is what makes us unique because we're one of a kind in our country. So glad to be here in Chicago as the hub.
Wow. So this unique program, can you tell us more about why it is so important that researchers who have all these resources and all this knowledge have to make that direct connection with the specific families at risk? Why is that? Why do they have to reach them? Can't they just understand the problem from the outside? What is it? What's different about that? Why is that so important?
Well, that seems to have always been, Nisan, the challenge, because in certain areas where the medical community has not been totally trusted, like in African American communities, there has always been a lack of being able to penetrate. Say, for instance, like what we just went through this past year when we dealt with COVID. And we saw the effects of not having inroads into African American or underserved communities. That inability to reach in allows it to be a lot more damage before we get to resolve. And so when we look at what's so important about it, it's important for us to be able to tap into and be able to bring those factions together so that human life can be treasured. I think that should be part of our mission as the church, to be able to get people the healing they need to have. It's our cause. It's attached to Isaiah 54:2, where he says we should expand to the right and to left, and our descendants will inherit the nations and make the desolate cities inhabited. As we reach out, we make life better for each other.
Okay, so overcoming this kind of trust barrier, you talk about training these people. Who are we recruiting for these liaison positions? Because it sounds like they're really where the rubber hits the road. How does that work?
That's absolutely it. We really reach out to pastors. We ask them to submit someone from their church that has the ingenuity and the fire, but also has the acumen and the desire to do this kind of work, because they will have to be trained. And as they are trained, they will represent the hub from their vantage point. So as we reach all across from Evanston all the way to Chicago Heights and all west side, north side, and downtown, all around the Chicago area, those churches all have now someone there who can reach the stakeholders, get information, get surveys done, and give us clarity and what really is going on in the community, and we can serve it to our higher institutions and make sure that service is properly provided. We have one we did so far. The last big one we did at Northwestern was through Adaptable, and that's the 81 milligram aspirin, to see how that affects the heart. It gives us an opportunity to tap into so many different areas of things that happen in the community, from hypertension to diabetes to sickle cell, heart disease, childhood obesity, prostate cancer, breast cancer, on and on. Once the system is set, once the people are trained, we can now research and get really information back how we can better serve community from our healthcare factions.
I see. Thank you. So tell me more about why your church. This is a great idea, and it sounds like a wonderful vision for an organization, but why is your church invested in it? Or is it just because churches are, not just, but churches obviously are a trusted institution in every community. Congregations are trusted, whatever faith. Is it simply because you saw the need, or is it from what's that motivation for the church?
You jump right into it. I am historically from University of Chicago. And so coming from University of Chicago, and actually when I went into pastoring, I went in from actually being in the posture of working at University of Chicago. And so coming to the local church, I began to see all of those particular needs that were missing. Immediately, all the things that were going on in homes and in lives, that people did not practice safe prevention and areas of protection, all caught my attention. And so I wanted to develop an organization, and it's Total Resource Community Development Organization. Pastors for Peace Corps is really under the umbrella of Total Resource Community Development Organization, and we started that specifically to be another extension of being able to supply needs and make sure that we capitalize off of getting our community to not only be aware, but also to be able to be included and seeing resolve happen for health causes.
Right. I think that sense of agency is exciting about Pastors for Peace Corps, the people who they have a chance to participate in their own becoming their own well-being, which is very exciting. Do they do other things after they participate in the surveys? Are there other services available to them through Pastors for Peace Corps?
Oh, yeah. Well, with Pastors for Peace Corps, we have the extension over into the other services that we provide that allow people to not only to come in and get resolves, but we also can, after the survey system, can also refer them in some instances to where people can get help and can survive. I mean, when you talk about, we had 1 year, let me just share with you, we had 1 year where we talked our membership through this process of giving, donating kidneys. We ended up with 2 men who donated kidneys to 2 other men whose kidneys were failing in the church. And that's,
wow.
I never heard of it happening before, and I didn't have an idea that the people would do it. We just asked for it. And 2 men donated kidneys to 2 other men and extended their life. And this whole process of making sure that we take care of each other's medical needs and participate in the process brings community together. And if that's not what the love of God is all about and what we should be doing as a community of faith, I don't know what is.
I agree. Well put there. So in terms of thinking, you talked about this tremendous catchment range of all the way up from Evanston down to Chicago Heights. Are churches and faith institutions participating in that? How many are participating here in our area?
24. And I know that you're going to have a dialogue with Dr. Davis a little bit, but Pastor for Pecor has graduated 72 IRB certified research ministry ambassadors, 26 facilitators and trainers. And out of that, they go to their particular area. So when we get ready to get certification and to get surveys in and to bring forth information and to accumulate statistics, it gives us a great opportunity to reach from different corridors. And we can measure much better by knowing exactly where commonalities are as well as where disparities are.
How exciting. And this certification is really something that's a marketable skill, it sounds like, for these people as well.
Absolutely. It's not just even having a basic certification that's good, but to have an institutional review board certification, an IRB process that's attached to it. It's really the university setting, Northwestern's and UIC and University of Chicago, research departments, training module orientation practice and process. This allows this researcher to have now a skill that they can go anywhere in the world and be a part of the research process.
Exciting. And all of them working out of these faith contexts. It sounds like this particular example from your church of the success of the program. Is there another story of something that you discovered that really helped out here? We'll take that as our story before the break.
Well,
we might have learned something from this research.
Well, we've not only had that, we've also had through the process of being able to invite people in because we were doing breast cancer time. And this whole process, the process of breast cancer, allowed us, by actually pushing the envelope, getting pastors to open up and start ministries, health ministries that help the community, breast cancer. We found several women who end up having breast cancer and ended up being able to catch it in time. I mean, just having those stories just make it all worth it all by itself.
That's tremendous. Thank you so much, Bishop Gordon, for joining us. And we'll take a break right here. And after a quick pause, we'll be right back for more of Sanctuary.
Metropolitan Chicago is one of the most religiously diverse areas in the world, and for more than a half-century, Sanctuary has reported and reflected on our faith-filled community. Sanctuary tells stories of faith from both inside our houses of worship to the streets and neighborhoods where faith is acted out every day with acts of kindness and concern. From food pantries to peace initiatives, from worship services to servicing the poor, Sanctuary has a proud history of reporting on the goodness that flows from our faith traditions. Watch Sanctuary every Sunday at 12 noon on the Live Well Network.
Welcome back to Sanctuary. I'm Nisan Chavkin, and we continue our discussion on Pastors for Peace Corps with the organization's Executive Director, Dr. Paris Davis. Dr. Davis, thank you so much for being here today.
Good morning, Nisan. Thank you for having me.
We have been learning about the Pastors for Peace Corps program with Bishop Gordon and why the church has chosen to house it, and it sounds robust and exciting and amazing, and I have no idea how it works. So could you walk us through how do you find these people? How do you recruit them? How do all the pieces come together? If I was in this, what would I experience? Could you tell us a little about that?
Absolutely. The Pastors for Peace Corps model is a faith-based model that we've been commissioned to pull together by PCORI, which is a federally based department that is focused on patient-centered care. And with it being patient-centered care, what we were charged to do is bring all the stakeholders together in the faith-based community, if you will, and figure out how to get the word out. One of the main things that we discovered after we put together our team, which consists of Northwestern and also Rush, and out of Northwestern is Dr. Rebecca Johnson, and out of Rush is Dr. Diana Ingram. And then also Jen Brown from Northwestern helped us get started. But what we figured out was there needed to be a multi-language program put together that would allow our communities to speak with medical and academic researchers. And so in doing that, our team developed a 6 to 8 module training program, which, by the way, we've actually published. It's called Engaging Communities, if I can put that up there like that. And it's on Amazon.
Cool.
And what it represents is an evidence-based model for how to engage a faith-based community to reach the members of the community, especially in underserved areas, to get them health resources that they need for better daily living. And so with those voices coming together, we figured we all had to be able to speak the same language. So that's what the training program is based on. The training program is based on selecting individuals from various churches to come together, go through the training, become IRB certified, which means that they understand the elements of doing research and the privacy acts that are involved with that. We deliver it at a professional level because it's done by a Northwestern instructor that comes in and actually certifies us, and we renew it annually. And then from there, we also set up a module that taught our participants how to actually do community research. And in doing community research, we taught them all the elements on how to prepare a survey, on how to administer a survey, and then how to understand the survey results. And then the last thing that we've done is we've also trained the trainers, because our goal is to exponentially send out more of us, not just duplicate ourselves, but have us go out in a greater number within the faith-based industries. And what that was also based on is first starting with the trusted voice of the church. And so, as you know, in many of the communities, the trusted center that people go to when they need health, when they need resources, when they need to speak to leadership or guidance, they go to their church, and their pastor is that trusted voice, or their rabbi or their reverend is that trusted voice. And so all of it has been centered around pulling people from individual churches, because even at the corporate level, when we've done presentations that aren't faith-based, we've asked the question up front, how many of you attend a church? and 80% of them raised their hands. And from there, we're able to tell them how to get engaged with the process, how to use the model that we've built to go into their churches and pull out the voices of the people and tie them together with the medical and the educational community so that they can get the resources they need.
Well, this is, it sounds like we're this great effort of bridging. How long does it take to go through that process of training so that you can speak all those different languages?
Well, our first victims, if you will, took a year and a half. And they helped us build what is now this faith-based model that's evidence-tested. They helped us write the manual, and now it's down to 6 sessions, 6 2-hour sessions. So we've gotten it down to 12 hours based on the input of our stakeholders and those people that went through it the very first time. So basically six modules that take about 12 hours in total. So we spread them out over 3 Saturdays, basically.
Okay, so it's happens during a quarter or a semester if we were talking in university time, so to speak.
Yes, and we usually do it on Saturdays. We have found that in working with our community members, it is best that Saturdays be used because then they've gotten through their work week, they've handled all their chores that they need to handle, they've had time to gather information and come and just sit and learn and exchange on things that are going on in their communities.
Terrific. And this program, it's exciting. We talked briefly with Bishop Gordon about some of the exciting results that have come out of this effort to try and link the people who are being served with the people who are studying the problems and the people who can deliver those services. Do any of those, could you share with us one of those things that sticks out for you about one of the exciting value added of this whole, of Pastors for PCOR? What's different now that we have Pastors for PCOR? Can you point to something for us?
Oh, absolutely. The value add is now we're taken seriously at the tables. And when I say the tables, one of the things that we were able to trace out is how to engage financial resources needed to do the programs, how to engage the health resources that we need to bring to the community. And we found that if we could tap into where the funding and the support would come from, then we could also tap into the partners that we needed. And what we found was that at the federal level, they take their input from the researchers both medical and education-wise. And so knowing that, then it was a matter of engaging with the researchers on day one, being at the table on day one and not having them come to us and tell us, this is what we're doing in your community. No, this is what we need in our community. Because as you know, Nisan, what may be needed on the north side of Chicago is not the same thing that's going to be needed on the far south side of Chicago. The demographics are different, the disparities are different, the health needs are different. And so being able to identify that, then we were able to come to the table and say, we need a researcher, for example, in mental health, for those of us that may work in Inglewood. We need someone in mental health. We need someone that can help us address food deserts. Well, we found out in this process that IIT has a strong mental health department, and their researchers are now at the table with us. But our greatest victory right now is actually being involved in an NIH, the National Institute of Health, on a project, a 7-year project that is going to study lung, blood, and heart disease amongst African Americans. We are at the table as a MPI, which is unheard of for the faith-based industry to be involved at that level. And so we will be at the forefront, sitting at the table. We're in the budget, and we actually are helping pull together the program with Dr. Abel Cole and Dr. J.D. Smith to start doing some research in that area in our communities to help make it better.
So this is a remarkable model where the people who need the research are helping give voice directly to the people who are conducting the research. That's so exciting, and it's here in Chicago. Has anyone else picked up on this idea? Is it spreading around the country, or is it our little secret?
Oh, it's kind of 50-50, Nisan. And I say it's 50-50 because, as you know, gradually we enter into any industry. And so gradually they're starting to accept us at the table And as they're accepting us at the table, now it's starting to branch out more now than we've ever heard of in the past. So Pastors for PCOR is actually sitting at the table with many of the major medical entities in Chicago. For example, Alliance Chicago, Capricorn, Northwestern University of Chicago. We're sitting at those tables giving our voices to what we know based on real-time survey results, what the health disparities are by zip code.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, in kind of closing, Dr. Davis, lots of people from different churches watch this program, from different faith institutions, from different faith traditions.
Yes.
How can people learn more about Pastors for PCOR, and how can interested faith communities participate?
They can contact us via email, trcdochicago, all one word, trcdochicago@gmail.com, and ask for myself or Karen Cherry. Our direct phone number is 773-881-0710, and we'd be glad to hear from you.
Well, that'd be wonderful. And it's non-denominational. Anybody who can attend from whichever kind of faith tradition.
Absolutely, because what I did not get a chance to mention, Nisan, we are also working on a project right now it's called Impart with the Muslim Mosque community.
Wonderful. Well, Dr. Davis, this has been not only enlightening but uplifting to hear about all the fine work that you are doing with Pastors for PCOR. And bringing the people who need it most together with the people who have the ability to put some answers on the table. I want to thank you so much for joining us today here on this edition of Sanctuary, and to remind our viewers that the 2021 Interfaith Calendar will be available from the Council of Religious Leaders for purchase. For the first time, the Council also will make available an Interfaith Calendar app for your phone, either Android or iPhone, along with each print calendar. So to order a calendar or for more information, you can visit our website. I hope our viewers found today's discussion informative and enlightening. I want to thank both our guests, Bishop Gordon and Dr. Davis, and thank all of you for joining us today. We hope to see you again on Sanctuary.
Metropolitan Chicago is one of the most religiously diverse areas in the world, and for more than a half-century, Sanctuary has reported and reflected on our faith-filled community. Sanctuary tells stories of faith from both inside our houses of worship to the streets and neighborhoods where faith is acted out every day with acts of kindness and concern. From food pantries to peace initiatives, from worship services to servicing the poor, Sanctuary has a proud history of reporting on the goodness that flows from our faith traditions. Watch Sanctuary every Sunday at 12 noon on the Live Well Network.